Hi, welcome back. This is Sarah, and you're listening to Leta Stori. In this episode, we will be discussing honor and respect. I think I have answered the Black American relationship problem. And I say that with such conviction because I have made it to the promised land. I think we are trying to solve a Black epidemic with white solutions, simply because the version and way in which white people show respect and honor fundamentally juxtaposes the way that African-centered people show respect and honor, simply because it's rooted in the very foundation of our lifestyles, of our cosmology, of our origin. Black people fundamentally are a holistic people, a communal people. I am because we are, Ubuntu. For us, by us, we are a very holistic people, a people that operate in multidimensionality, in vibration and sound and frequency. We see beyond the moment, if you will, but live in the moment. Whereas Eurocentric or white lifestyle mentality, foundational culture is very much centered in me, mine, and I. And from a basis in which identity is rooted in qualification, is rooted in proving oneself, acting out a sense of belonging, acting through just acting based off of your positioning justifies your worth and value. So essentially, earned respect rather than inherited respect, or respect centered or based upon lineage or hierarchy, but more so individually earned or valued based upon accomplishment. And so the reason why this matters or is valuable is simply because an African worldview in many ways protects, honors, and respects the harmony and continuity of a relationship, whereas Western worldview respects and protects individual rights or one's autonomy. And again, it leads back to the foundation of the people. And so I want to bring this particular topic to you because I see it daily come up in my personal biases of perception and opinion. And I think if any of you have been to the continent, or even you see this in the Caribbean and many places around the world where Black populations exist, we see things differently. Respect and honor are fundamental in our communities, simply because we are a people of honor and respect, a people that have a history of authority. And in many ways, the cultural clashes happen when, an African elder may see the directness of a Westerner as rude, or someone from the West sees African differences as oppressive. So I think you get the point. But one from a biblical perspective, lately I have thought very deeply about the concept of submission and humility as it relates to honor and respect. And so we know that one of the 10 commandments is honor your father and mother. And again, that's an intercultural clash with how you perceive or understand honor and respect. Because from an African perspective, you can easily honor someone, but not like them. And from a Western perspective, it's very much so said all the time that if I don't like you, then there's no way I can honor you. Or if I don't see you haven't earned your honor. Whereas from an African perspective, the simple act of your parent birthing you or your mother birthing you, she is equal to or therefore inherently honorable or worth respecting. So again, it is so clear to me when perceiving or reading the scripture through the eyes of African-centered thought or African-centered ideas, it's a whole new understanding of its meaning and its value. And I think in many ways that's the grace, that's the mercy that the Most High extends to us. And that we are, you understand the hierarchy of the disciples. You understand the relationship that the Israelites had with Moses. Just truly the relationship of Isolele and the Father. And how I think in many ways even the New Testament is articulated. Like how Yesiah loved Isolele and how a man is supposed to love his wife. It's simply by position. It's not by earned action or merit. And again, when we read and understand the scripture through these Western lenses or through these Western ideologies, it becomes confusing, which then again proves, and gives validity to the fact that the scripture is written from a African-centered perspective for an African people, straight up. So yeah, drop mic. But this is all, I think, in many ways, revelation for me. Again, there's so many light bulb moments of what it means to live here on the continent and in the land of the living. So just like 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways." I'm sure you're familiar with the scripture. But the direction of humility, if we knew how much increase, protection, love, all of the things were wrapped up in our humility, how much more would we be willing to humble ourselves? I think the same thing about submission, the same thing about honor, and the same thing about respect. And again, I believe this is the answer to our relationship issues. And when I say that, I mean in every form, shape, size, every type of relationship. If we humble ourselves, if we submit, if we show honor, if we respect, if we find value in each other, in our brother, in our sister, in our partner, in our husband, in our wife, in our mother, father, grandparent, whomever, if we can humble ourselves. And I understand that this is speaking about Isolele to the Most High. But then again, what's the scripture that says that if we don't love our brother, how can we love the Father? And I think it's Shirazad Ali that says the closest some of us will get to the Creator is the black man. I know that's a controversial statement, but it's very, very true. And again, it's because we have, it's of course because of the hurt and the betrayal of one another, but it's also simply because we have been seeing respect and honor through the lens of whiteness, through the lens of believing that respect and honor has to be earned. We have forgotten our mantle. We have forgotten our positions. We have forgotten our office of womanhood, our office of manhood. We have forgotten our worth and value in what it means to honor and what it means to respect and what it means to be respected or honored. There's so many levels to this, and I think in the previous episode where I spoke about growing from girlhood to womanhood, once our honor and respect is restored, so is our value. And I think that is one of the most beautiful and humbling experiences that I have had here, is watching the honor and the respect of sisterhood, watching the honor and respect of motherhood and daughterhood, observing and watching the interactions between children and their parents, and male and female. I have so many stories that are just heartwarming, and things that are seen throughout everyday life and interaction that never crossed my mind until coming here. And in fact, I'll share one specific one that comes to mind. And I remember my husband and I were out on our evening walk in Dar es Salaam and in our neighborhood, and we found ourselves stumbling upon a park. And it was a huge park, lots of people in the park, roaring noises of just exclamations and cheering and excitement. So we just followed the voices, and we saw a group of women playing dodgeball on one side of the park, and then we saw a group of men playing soccer in another part of the park. And it was a clear separation between the women who had their children playing on the side and the men who were on the other side. And we just began to watch the camaraderie, the joy, the joy. And what was so clearly highlighted was this was a separation of men and women. And I remember just recalling to my husband, like, this is really a thing. Like, all the women are over here and all the men are over there. And my husband made the statement of, yes, men never compete with women. And I said, what? I said, even children? He says, yeah, I mean, up until a certain point of childhood, the girls play in one area and the boys play in another. And this is simply done so that the interaction between male and female is not a sense of competition, but of complement. And mind you, these are women with their children playing on this, like grown women, like 30s, 20s, 30s, I would even say some were 40s. But they were enjoying an evening of exercise and playing rough. Like, these women were playing legit dodgeball. And again, it was not that the woman couldn't keep up with the men, but again, the separation of honor and respect for the differences, and honor and respect for the position, and honor and respect for like knowing each other's value. And again, with a Western lens, one would identify this as oppressive. But from a harmonious communal perspective, it's in fact honorable. So yeah, so that, like I said, just a heartwarming perspective of how one can see something as half full or another can see it as half empty. So let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them, or just your considerations or your opinions. Anything you have to share, I would love to hear it in the comments. But until next time, I am Sarah Singer, and you were listening to Leta's Story. Take care. Bye-bye.